Hello there, I'm Brian Russell. Nathan Recenti and I are going to be going over the procedure for installing a Hall's Magnum greenhouse today. And we're currently in our shop where we're able to do a great deal of the work, and it's actually better to do it in the shop rather than on your lawn or whatever, because it's much easier to work here and fewer opportunities to lose nuts and bolts. So this is the parts bag, and in that you'll find all the nuts and bolts and screws and smaller pieces, and there will also be a manual in there too. This is the Hall's Magnum manual for the 10/8, 12/8, and 14/8 greenhouse sizes. As you unload the boxes, you'll see that the components are assembled into bundles, and the bundles all have a number on them. So the numbers correspond to steps in the manual. So the first one that we'll do is step number 1, and that is the rear gable. So open that package and lay the pieces out according to the diagram in the manual. In the 2 locations indicated in the video, use the longer bolts that are provided in the parts bag. There's a roof brace also attached at this spot, and you'll need the longer bolts for this. We're in step 2 now, and we've laid out all the parts for the door gable end as per the diagram in the manual. It's a lot easier to apply the rubber glazing strip now, so we always do it in the shop. Applying the strips is a little tricky at first, but it helps a lot if you hold it up at about a 45-degree angle. We're working on step 3 now on the sidewalls. This is a side brace, and it is installed later, but don't forget to leave a bolt for it on the sidewall where indicated. There's the sidewall. The roof goes here like this, and then there's the gutter, and that's the sill plate there. This is a cross section of it here. So the sill plate sits and on the 4x4, and it has a little return there so that the water comes down like that. And you have to place the sill plate on a piece of cedar, a little cedar strip that's cut 9/16 of an inch high by 1 1/4 inches wide. And when you attach the sill plate to the 4x4 foundation, you use this in the center of every bay. You use a 1.5 inch pan head stainless steel screw, and not too close to the inside, because there's glass that sits about there, approximately. What we don't want to do is have the glass touching one of those bolts, so that's why we have this screw towards the outside edge. It's about 1/3 of the way from the edges. We're on step 5 now, building the doors, so lay the parts out according to the diagram in the manual. Start with the longest pieces, which are the door sides. It's a lot easier to apply the rubber glazing strip now in one long piece, so please do that first. There are pairs of holes at the ends and through the center and at the top, at the bottom as well. And you can see that some of the pairs of holes are closer to the edge and some are offset a little bit, maybe 3/8 of an inch away. So the ones where the holes are very close to the edge are the bottom of the door, and it's important that you don't get them mixed around. Okay, so we have everything set out and ready to assemble for the left-hand door. If you're standing from the exterior of the greenhouse, it's the door on the left. So just a few details that you should know. There's a black plastic guide that slides in to the bottom piece at the bottom of the door and fits in just like that. That's where the screw goes. One and then a second one there. Take a note of these holes here. That's where the screws go. So they go through there and then they go into that piece. Here I'm putting in the door draft guard. The easiest way to do this is to lay it loosely in place on its side and then use some kind of roller to coax it into place. If you don't have a roller, you can use a spoon. Once it's in place, trim the extra draft guard to length with an X-Acto knife. So the door is in two parts. This is the frame and then this is the part that hangs. You can see the rollers here. They hang on the door track, and the entire weight of the door will be hanging onto the door track. So this portion is attached with 2 nuts and bolts, like this. You can see that it's in a slot, so it can slide up and down. So approximately the right location is pushed towards the bottom and tighten it. Do the same with the other side. We're looking at the door from the exterior. That's where the bottom of the pane of glass sits and the top, and then the sides sit on this rubber glazing strip, which is the soft landing. So you'll know if you have them oriented properly if you have that one down so that the glass fits on top of it. Step 6. Building the floor roof vents. Open the bundles one at a time and lay the pieces out. Please note to set aside the longest piece. It is the vent sill plate, and it is installed later when you are building the roof. We're going to show you an alternative method than what is depicted in the manual. It involves using one long piece of rubber gasket rather than cutting 4 smaller pieces, and we find it easier to do and that it provides a better seal. This is actually the ridge of the greenhouse. I just wanted to show you we mentioned this little hinge arrangement. Well, this part actually slides in there like this. So you would it actually fits right in there, and then it slides in, and it acts as a kind of a hinge. But before we slide it in, those clever Hall's designers have fabricated these little plastic vent stops. So you'd slide one of those in first, there, and you'd slide your vent on, like so. Once you get it into place, you slide another one in, and you slide it screw last. And once your vent is exactly situated properly, you tighten those with a Phillips head screwdriver, and it anchors the vent permanently in the spot, so it never migrates at all. We're on site now and about to install the greenhouse on its 4x4 pressure-treated foundation. Building the foundation is not shown in this video, but we have another video on our YouTube channel that explains this process. Please spend as much time as needed to make sure your foundation is level and square. The exact dimensions for the foundation and everything you need to know about site preparation is found in the greenhouse foundation sheet we supply when you get a greenhouse from us. Those two have to be up like that as we slide the ridge beam on. We're about to start installing the roof. You'll see the rubber glazing strip is already in place. Lay out the roof pieces upside down so you can slide bolts onto them as per the instructions in our installation tip sheet. The roof is up now, and Nathan is installing and leveling the roof brackets, using some of the bolts that we slid onto the rafters earlier. There are also side brackets, and they will be attached to bolts we slid in previously as well. This is a detail of me installing one of the 4 roof braces. There are bolts in 3 places for these. Here we are fitting the cedar sill strip under the greenhouse sill plate. Cut and place the sill strips on all 4 sides. Drill through the sill plate and attach a screw, but only put the screws in about 1/4 of an inch for now. You want to be able to move the greenhouse around to center it on the foundation. Once it's centered, set the screws all the way in. We're using a long level in this shot, but we're using it as a straight edge, not as a level, so that the sill plate is nice and straight on the foundation. We are now ready to put on the glass. Before you start glazing, check to make sure all the rubber glazing strip is nicely in place. It had fallen off one of the rafters during this installation, so in this shot I am reattaching it. Start the glazing by doing the roof first, and these panes, the ones that are right above the gutter, get a bead of silicone as shown here. But these are the only ones that need silicone on the greenhouse.
And then right down here where you see it.
Glass retaining clips hold the next piece above the first one, and the spring clips hold the glass down, 4 per pane in most cases.
Okay, Nathan, would you mind passing me up a piece, please?
So that slides up there like that, and back down. Here I am putting in one of the 4 vent sill plates we mentioned earlier using bolts we slid onto the roof rafters previously. Now we're sliding in the first of 4 roof vents, and once it's in place, holding it there with a pair of vent stops. Now the door track goes on, and then the doors and the door supports on either side. Don't adjust the doors until the glass is in place. See our installation tips on how to best adjust the doors. Now we're putting on an auto roof vent opener. Measure and mark a line in the exact center and attach the opener as shown. By the way, there is another video on the Halls Greenhouses BC YouTube channel that goes over this step in detail. Last step is final tightening. Check absolutely every nut and bolt on the entire greenhouse. You are bound to find some that you've missed.
Yeah, it's really nice. Very, very nice.
Thank you very much again.
Thanks again. Got my work cut out for me now.